Hey, thanks for listening this time. You can find me let me just say like 50 times in a row.
Hello and welcome to Egghead Anarchy. I am Brian.
And I am Alex.
And this week we are going to discuss two things. Overwatch, which is this little game you may or may not have heard about. I don't know. It hasn't been making a lot of news lately. But in case you want to know about it and you want to know our thoughts on it, I will have another Gush session because I love this game. And then we're going to talk about the Star Trek Beyond trailer, the newest trailer. And just kind of the Star Trek universe in general, a little bit about some other science fiction things, but we will mostly keep the conversation limited to Star Trek. And I think for us, we do a fairly good job of keeping it focused on the trailer itself.
No, we don't. That's not true. It's
that's not a lie. That's not true at all.
It's about the trailer, but also how it relates to other Star Trek things. And also we talk a little bit about how we feel about the previous Star Treks in this new Star Trek series, and how we feel about them. And and
just kind of Star Trek in general, like the Star Trek universe, the original series, a little bit about Deep Space Nine, a little bit about the Next Generation.
We're big fat Star Trek nerds. That's what we're saying. Also,
absolutely.
Soon the Star Wars nerding will come when we get closer to Rogue Squadron.
Rogue One.
Yeah. Damn it.
Totally fair mistake though, because Rogue Squadron is also a Star Wars thing.
Why is there not a Rogue Squadron movie? And there will never be now because they called something Rogue One and it will be too confusing.
You just broke my heart a little bit.
Yeah. If they made it, they'd have to call it something different to make sure that you weren't wildly confused. Unless this is supposed to be a Rogue Squadron movie and this is just like the first Rogue Squad, like they rewrote it and this is going to be like the first Rogue Squadron mission.
Ooh.
And this will lead into the creation of Rogue Squadron and then we'll keep hearing about Rogue Squadron.
Oh, like it's an origin story for Rogue Squadron?
Yeah, that'd be kind of cool.
That would actually be very cool. Okay. Heart unbroken. Okay.
Quick, reshoot the movie. So, if that's not what you did, just reshoot it and make that the movie.
Exactly.
or they could just do an Avengers style like after credit sequence where somebody shows up and is like, I'm here to talk to you about the Rogue Squadron initiative.
Does anybody want to pilot X-Wings?
All right, sorry. Moving on.
Absolutely. Okay, so let's get into the first topic, gushing about Overwatch.
In this segment, we're going to talk about Overwatch.
That's right. Brian's going to gush again.
I haven't played it yet, and mainly on the weight of one of my friends played the beta, and his review was like, oh yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's not like significantly more fun than TF2 is, though. Also, it costs $60 and TF2 is free, so... and I was like, that sounds like a good argument to not buy that game.
That's funny. Yeah. I played TF2 I think once back when it first came out, and I've tried a couple like team-based shooters, and the problem I've always had with them is that it's like if you took a normal first-person shooter and just split up the usefulness of the main character into different classes.
Yeah.
That, and that just isn't interesting to me because like it's just not how I play games. You know what I mean? Like, and that's actually one of the things that I liked about Destiny was that it was just a shooter MMO. Like there technically, I guess, were classes, like the 3, whatever the hell they were. But they didn't really matter, at least not that I could tell. But what that meant is that I could just play however I wanted. Like if I wanted to get, it was all weapon based, right? So like if I wanted to load out with, big sniper rifles, I could sit back and headshot people, and that was fun. And then if I wanted to switch out to something else, I could do that. Well, that's exactly how Overwatch works. Like, so, being that I haven't played many other games, I'm not sure how this works. But one of the big things that I like about Overwatch is that you can change characters in the middle of the game.
Yeah,
like
you can do that in like everything.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you can do that in TF2.
Everything I've been reading says that it talks about that like it's different somehow. Like other games don't do that.
Well, they've been I know the one thing that I've seen about Overwatch is that the devs have really been promoting, like, you should switch characters during the match.
Oh, and that's definitely true.
Yeah, and that's how the game is played. Like, TF2, you can switch. You have to, like, when you die, you can switch before you respawn.
Okay, yeah, that's how it works in Overwatch, too.
Yeah.
I mean, you can switch in the middle of the match. You just have to go back to, like, the starting area.
Oh, yeah. I'm not sure you can do that. It might suicide you if you try and do that. That'd be a good feature, though, that if you just, like, walked back to spawn, you could switch.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's been a while since I played TF2, and it gets so many updates. Like, so much content is added to that game constantly. I think that this is probably...
Oh, really?
Yeah. This is probably the first real competitor to TF2 by anybody.
Yeah, from what I've been reading, that's what it sounds like. I mean, like, it kind of sucks because being that I've never really played TF2, I can't really compare it. Mm-hmm. But like what I like about it is that, one, the number of heroes is ridiculous. It's like 21, I think, and every character is totally different. Like totally different. Like even characters in the same class, like even tanks.
Yeah.
So like Reinhardt is the tank that I like to play as usually. Mm-hmm. And he's just so different from like Roadhog, for example. And then like there's snipers and but like I think there's like 4 or 5, no, 5 or 6 characters in each class, and they're all so different, like within the same thing, and the play styles are so different. But what I think works so well is that, and I actually didn't intend this to be the Overwatch segment. It's funny. But like what I guess what I like about it is that everything just seems so well thought out, like everything. Like, and again, I mean, this is true even in
it definitely has that kind of Blizzard feel to it, where you're like,
oh yeah,
this seems like it's really well done and really carefully thought out, and you know, people enjoy it a lot, which is cool. I thought it was really interesting how all of there's like a lot of diversity in the characters. I know they kind of started off by, like, that was one of their big selling points at the beginning, was they're like, we have May. She's pretty chubby. Like, and that's different. You don't see that in games a lot.
She's super fucking annoying. Like,
really?
So not in a bad way, but so there's a
like she's just
Route 66, I think, is one of the maps, and there's like an escort mission. Well, this has happened to me several times now, where there will be a team of nothing but May doing the escort, and they're so hard to beat because, like, so May and Diva are like this, where when they get close to dying, they can like protect themselves to regenerate their health. And so it's basically like free lives is what they get. And there are a couple that I know of that the only characters that have that.
Yeah.
And so, but what May does is she'll freeze herself in ice, because like her whole thing is ice. Like all her attacks and everything are ice, and they're really strategic and cool when they're well used. But I mean, what that means is, like, I tend to play as Farah on Route 66 because it's just set up really well for me to like launch shit tons of rockets at people and kill people.
Yeah.
Farah? But with May, I get down to like where she has like, I don't know, 5 or 10 health left, and then they just freeze themselves and they get all their health back. And I'm like, God damn it. Like, I can't kill any of these people. But like, and it's probably been about 50-50 that the all May teams have won. You know, I mean, because the thing is, like, when they lose hard. Like, they all die at the same time. And so
CLG.
It takes a while for them to get back.
CLG is something from MechWarrior, where it's combat loss groupings. So, like, because there's essentially an HP bar on each mech that slowly goes down, it means that you get no deaths for a really long time, and then suddenly you'll get a shitload of deaths all in a row because everybody's just been like slowly being chipped away at. And you see that in video games a lot, and any kind of game, because there's a big buffer before stuff starts dying, and if stuff is kind of taking even damage, then it all starts dying at once.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, and so one of the things that's super annoying to me, I actually went out and bought a chat headset today, because one of the things that is super annoying about Overwatch has nothing to do with the game. It has to do with people. And there's a surprising number of people, and I posted about this on Facebook yesterday. There's a surprising number of people who don't seem to have any idea what Overwatch is about or like how it's supposed to be played. And I'm not even a team, whatever the fuck this is, like a team shooter person, right? Like Overwatch is my first real game playing this, and I didn't even read that much about it because I was like, didn't really know what it was before it came out. I'm like, it's a Blizzard game. It's probably going to be really good. Like I might pick it up. I don't really need to know a whole lot about it. Whatever. And also like I didn't know that it was a team-based shooter. I'm like, I'm not really into those too much. So I don't know.
Have micro purchases?
It does.
What are the micro purchases?
Just loot crates. So they're purely cosmetic things. They're like you can like tag things like spray paint things. So you can buy loot crates.
Oh, that's kind of clever. It seems like they stole a lot of stuff from a bunch of different games. They were just like, let's steal everything that's good from every game that we've ever played, like every multiplayer game. Mainly Team Fortress 2 and League of Legends. They were like, let's steal champions from League of Legends, and then let's steal like gameplay from TF2, and then also let's steal sprays from Counter-Strike. That'll be cool too. Like, those are fun.
Yeah. Well, and realistically, I think that's what all Blizzard games have been, I think. You know what I mean? Like you look at Diablo, there were lots of those games before Diablo came out. Diablo was just the best one, you know? Same thing with WoW. Like WoW was not the first massively multiplayer game. It stole a lot of things from a lot of places. It just did everything really, really well.
EverQuest, but we're way better than EverQuest.
Yes. Well, and Asheron's Call. That was actually that I know of, that was the first one. And they both of those.
I don't
What's
know.
that?
Asheron's Call. That's not. I mean, isn't Asheron's Call like an actual like game with graphics and stuff? Or is that,
you're talking about like MUDs.
Yeah, because I mean, there were the MUDs way before that even.
Well, yeah, okay. I mean, I don't know. I mean, you can say like, well, I mean, Uncharted stole from Zork. I mean, like, I don't know how much of that
Uncharted does feel a little bit like Zork. You say that, but that feels a little true,
because it's
actually.
A story. Yeah, it's like an adventure story. But like, my point is, I mean, I think that is part of my point was that it is a valid comparison because just like movies, I mean, games don't really do a whole lot new. I mean, well, I shouldn't say that. They do a whole lot new, but there's also a lot about all of them that are the same. That's why we have genres, right? Just like in movies.
And that's not a criticism of this game. If anything, it's a praise of this game because they went, what are the best possible things from all of these things? Let's just combine them together.
Yeah. And oh God, they just, so really, something else.
Again,
go ahead. Sorry.
The only thing that's turning me off from getting this game, because it looks like a lot of fun, is the like, it's $60. Also, there are micro purchases where I feel kind of like I don't want to pay that much. If it were like 20 and it had cosmetic stuff, I'd be like, yeah, okay, maybe. But
honestly, when you play it, I think, at least for me, the $60 plus the micro purchases is justified. Yeah. When I look at just how, like, I mean, for what this game wants to be, it is flawless. Yeah. Like, I really don't know anything that Blizzard could do to make this game any better. And I don't know that I've ever played a game that's true of. Not even Diablo. Yeah. Like, Diablo was a lot of fun, but I mean, it kind of took grinding a little bit far, and like there was a lot of creativity in the enemies, but there could have been more, and the story was god awful terrible in every single one of them. And like they totally fucked up the real money auction house. Oh yeah. Which Diablo I think 3. They learned a lot from. Yeah. Well, and all the Diablos like had very similar, and they were iterations, but they all had problems. Well,
Diablo and the Elder Scrolls series, I lumped together in games that I've liked all of them, and all of them I will complain about endlessly because there's things wrong with them.
Oh God, yes.
And I'm like, this could be so much better, and it's really obvious that this could be better. But also, these are all really fun. Like, it doesn't matter.
Yeah. I think Overwatch is the first game I've played in a long time, maybe ever. And this could just be like, the drug addiction high that I'm on right now for this game. But like, I really can't find any problems with the game. Like there are problems with the way people play the game, and like one of the big ones, and I read I believe it was a Kotaku article, and I'll link it in the show notes here. I think I might have posted it to our Facebook page. If I didn't, I will. But it's basically like a bunch of tips for how to play every character. And one of the things that they mentioned in the first part of the article is that there's a big problem in Overwatch right now with just players not communicating. Like nobody's on voice chat and they don't talk. And you can definitely tell when there's a team of people that are either on the same page or that are talking and they're playing with a team that isn't, because the team that communicates wipes the floor with the team that doesn't every single time. And there's two very different groups or types of teams that I've seen so far. And those are teams that know what they're doing and know how the game works, and teams that don't. And teams that know how the game work, what they do is they all stay together. Like they stay very, very close together, and they move kind of as a unit, and they're almost indestructible when that happens, except when someone on the opposing team knows how to use their heroes really well. Like Junkrat, I believe is how you pronounce his name. He has this, like, his ultimate is he has this like spinning tire with like spikes on it that blows up. And that thing, if you, him and Soldier 76, who I'm currently trying to level up and get better with now, his ultimate, both of them can wipe out an entire team, no problem. Like if they're all close together. And in fact, I've done that. Like I was in a match and I was playing a Soldier 76. I forget where we were at, but the team that I was playing with was terrible. Like they were so bad that literally none of the VIPs at the end of the game were from our team. None of them. Like I got the play of the game for that match, but no one else from my team got recognized because they just didn't know what they were doing. But it was like a capture the thing, like there's 2 points you need to capture or whatever. And we just were making no progress whatsoever. And the other team was staying very close together. And so they would just move around the map and pick us off one by one because our team was all over the place. Yeah. Like nobody was close to each other. Well, I took advantage of this. I had Soldier 76 and I got my ultimate. And so I just got it and in one swoop just killed everyone on the opposing team and then walked in, and I was able to sit in the capture zone long enough before they could get to me that we captured that zone. That we went on to the second one. We didn't get the second one, so we didn't win. But like, that's a really good example of just how incredibly well I think, like, it's a fucking miracle. Like, this game is so well balanced. It's a miracle because you have situations like that will happen. Like, every character is supremely overpowered in some way, but they're also supremely deficient in some way. They're not like they don't have crap. I had the term before. I can't think of it now. Like, it's not unfair in either direction. Yeah. It's just, if you really know what you're doing, you can do something astronomically cool. And if you happen to get caught off guard, you can be taken out like that. Or if you're not playing the game correctly, you'll die almost instantly, no matter what you do, no matter what character you have, and no matter who you're going up against. And the levels are also built in such a way that they really, really take advantage of like different levels and even different areas in the same level will be optimized for different characters. Like, for example, when we're playing in Nepal, I believe it is Nepal, and shit, I can't think of the like, it's very Asian themed. I can't think of the name of it. But like when we're playing on those maps, I always play as Farah because I can get up high and just rain down rockets in Route 66 too. I can just rain down rockets and I can protect the capture area very, very well. Whereas on other maps, I'll play as like Widowmaker on maps that have. What's that?
That sounds a lot like TF2. Like, that's one of the things that TF2 does really well is designing the levels around the abilities of the different characters. And it's something that games like Brink, which was like, hey, we're going to be like TF2 and except better. And we're going to have like parkour mechanics and stuff. Except that game was bad and not good.
All the reviews I read, they're like, there's a lot of good ideas here, but
But I think one of the issues with that game was that it did not have the same, well, it didn't exactly have the same class-based kind of thing. I mean, it kind of did, but not as much. Like, the abilities of each class were not as different. And then it just didn't cater to the differences that there were. So, like, the lightest characters could parkour better, but there weren't a lot of spaces where it was greatly to your advantage to parkour somewhere. Like, there were spots maybe where you could get around behind the enemy team, but then you got around behind them and there were still 5 of them escorting something, and you're the light character that dies yourself instantly. So you just die anyway. So it doesn't really matter. It just wasn't thought out very well.
Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting. I'm very interested to see where Overwatch goes, especially story wise, because like one of the things about the levels that I was not expecting at all, and that very much like blows me away, is there is a very cohesive, very well defined world that Overwatch exists in. Like all of the levels, there's a lot of continuity between them. Like there's, a lot of consistency between vehicles, even between certain architectural things, and there's details in the level that just don't need to be there gameplay wise. Like there's clearly something narratively that I think Blizzard wants to do with the game. They just made a better decision than Bungie, I think, in not doing that out of the gate. Like polishing and releasing the core gameplay mechanics.
Yeah. That's
and
interesting.
at some point building on the story later, I think is what they're going to do.
Yeah, the trailers seem to have some interesting story stuff going on. I watched the Tracer trailer, and it was like she's trying to prevent somebody from getting assassinated for something or other. I was like, this seems like there's something going on here, but I'm not clear on what it is. And again, TF2 has a lot of story stuff in it, and it's not delivered through the game. I'd be really interested to see how Blizzard thinks they're going to deliver story through a multiplayer online shooter. Well,
I wonder if they're going to do something like what Valve has done with the TF2 short stories.
Yeah,
like
that's
the
what
movies,
I was going to say.
Those are amazing.
Well,
I'm not even playing the game. I love those things.
Yeah. Also, they have a whole set of comics, TF2 comics.
Oh, interesting.
That you can read online that are like the story of the games and like what's going on.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Well, and Blizzard's big into that. Like I know they did that with all the Diablo games. Like there's a huge amount of Diablo lore out there, which I think is, some of it's good, but most of it's, like Diablo itself, like overly serious, and so much so that it's kind of silly, and I have a hard time taking it seriously. But it's good. It's well done.
Oh yeah, I have some signed World of Warcraft novels.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That's awesome, dude.
Yeah.
Holy crap. Man, you are so hardcore. I can't like, oh my God. Just like talking through stuff on episodes of this podcast, I'm like, holy shit. Like, that's awesome, dude.
I'm not sure where I did not like go out of my way to get them on purpose. It was like I went to Barnes and Noble, and they were like having a signing, and I was like, oh shit, they're having a signing. I'll buy some of those. Let's do that. Because, you don't want to, whatever. It was there, and I like World of Warcraft, so I was like, hell yes.
Well, dude, that's serendipity is what that is. That's awesome. Oh, that is so cool. Yeah, I'm like, I think I want to start, like, instead of just kind of playing randomly with people that whoever I happen to get matched up with, which I'm still going to do a lot of, but I want to start actually building up some people to play Overwatch with. Because I actually went out and got a chat headset so that I can, chat and actually talk to people. Because I was like, if I'm gonna say that it's annoying that people don't talk, I need to be someone who talks. Like, you know what I mean? And I actually did it. So before we started doing this podcast, I actually just hooked it up to make sure that it worked really quick, and just played through. Like, I got in a match like halfway through, so I was only in there for a few minutes. But even just doing that, like, I was able to tell people, hey, somebody's coming from here, blah 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 blah, and it made a big difference. And I was like, yeah, this is gonna be a big deal.
That's what playing TF2 Go is like. Except I'm terrible, and it's confusing as all get out. It's all people being like, they're in roof, and I'm like, where the fuck is roof? And they're like, traversing attic, and I'm like, what? And then they're like, in small hall, and I'm like, the fuck is small hall? What's happening? And people are yelling at me like,
English, people.
Why are you going the wrong way? He's in small hall, you idiot. And I'm like, I don't know where that is or where to go. I don't know what's going on. I'm so confused, and you're yelling at me.
Is there a cry in the corner button for that? Oh man, yeah. I wonder how long it's going to be before there's like a pro league for overview. Oh god, for Overwatch. Because that's gotta happen.
Like immediately, that's going to happen.
Oh yeah,
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Blizzard has so many. That's probably why they made this game. Like, they already have a bunch of pro league stuff.
Yeah.
And by bunch, I mean StarCraft.
Well, Diablo, right? Or no?
Diablo and World of Warcraft both have like competitive arenas and maybe some. I'm sure they do have an esports scene, but I don't know how big it is for Diablo and World of Warcraft. It's probably moderately
maybe
sized.
that's more just like custom events. Like I know I've heard of stuff like Diablo leagues, but maybe it's not like an MLG thing. Maybe it's just like a smaller independent thing or something.
Yeah, but I'm sure they want something as big as League of Legends, and StarCraft and Dota. So you know.
Well, and I think that's where like you said before, the whole $60 plus microtransactions versus TF2.
Wow.
I think honestly, Overwatch is where like game kind of pricing and monetization and development are going. Simply because, again, like I said earlier, like so much time was put into this game, like a ridiculous amount of time was put into this game. Like it's really clear when you play it, and that time costs money. You know what I mean? And so how do they pay for that? I'm sure they thought of doing something like a free to play. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But one of the things, like a lot of people bought Destiny when it came out. And Destiny made a shit pile of money. And I think one of the reasons is because people really like the idea that I pay for this thing once and then I'm going to get a bunch of content. Like they're going to continue giving me content that I won't have to pay for. And that's kind of how it worked. And I think that's part of the reason people were frustrated with Destiny is that at least that's what I thought was going to happen. And then when I paid $60 and there just was not enough content, and half of it I didn't care about because, again, I didn't care about the story. Like I just played through the story to figure out the mechanics of the game, and then I went on to do the MMO stuff. And even in the MMO stuff, the stories there weren't really very good. But gameplay-wise, the game was great. There just wasn't enough there, and they didn't release enough new stuff for me to think it was worth $60. Whereas with Overwatch, immediately out of the gate, I feel like this is easily worth $60.
Yeah.
Easily.
I think there's another cost that I'm calculating that I haven't mentioned, which is how much of my free time it's going to fucking take up.
Oh, God, so much.
And that's
So
counting
much.
negatively against it because I'm thinking like, I'll buy this and I'll spend $60 on it to be really unproductive for like months. like that doesn't sound great.
Well, but I mean, that's the same thing with any other game, right? I mean, especially Bethesda games, especially Elder Scrolls games. I mean, I put 300 hours into Skyrim.
Yeah. Actually, I've been playing Fallout 4 again because it has survival mode now. And I realized that I've only put like 64 hours into it or something like that. And I was like, that's actually not really great for a Bethesda game. Like all my other ones.
You do realize you said only 64 hours, right?
But like all the other Bethesda games have been like, 300 hours kind of thing. And I've played.
Well, and I could have kept going. I just, life got in the way and I stopped playing,
Well, actually, Fallout 4, I don't know. There's something about it that I'm not super into. Like, I don't know. It's okay.
Yeah, that seems to be the consensus. I was fairly excited for Fallout 4. I didn't put it on reserve or anything. And the reason is because what you said. I was like, this game is going to take way too much of my time. And Fallout 3, like we talked about before, like I just couldn't do that game. Like I got maybe 2% into the story and I just couldn't continue because I'm a scrub and it's hard. Oh, and that's another thing about Overwatch that I want to say. Like I'm not particularly good, I don't think. But I have a lot of fun and like I contribute to the games that I play as much as I fuck up. And I mean,
that's good. If a multiplayer game makes you feel like you're contributing, even if you're not like winning, that's always good.
Yeah. I think. Oh, and something I've been wanting to say. So I want to make sure I don't forget about this. Something that I wanted to bring up, like design wise, about the game, is some of the choices that they made, specifically choices that they made about stuff to leave out, like things that aren't in the game, specifically like UI wise. There's no map. There's no way to tell outside of your field of view where any of your teammates are. And there's a lot. Like the information that they put on screen is very interesting to me. Oh, and also they make it very, very like kind of like a casino. They make it very hard to stop playing the game. Like once you've started playing, you literally need to do nothing, and you just go from game to game to game to game to game to game. You have to whenever I stop playing, I always feel like, am I going to get penalized for this? Like, even if it's in between matches, I'm like, can I quit now? Am I supposed to stop? And so because of that, I'll play for 6, 8, 10 hours at a time. Because it's fun, but it's the way that it's set up, the flow of the game, and also the way that things are split up. So like there will be 5 minutes in between a match, but because something is pretty consistently always happening, and because there's always some sort of a time, like a countdown timer, if you're actually like going from game to game, it doesn't ever feel like it takes very long. Like for example, I'm looking at my my career profile right now, and it says that I've only played, that my time played is 6 hours. I've played this game for well over 12 hours, and I know that, right? Probably closer to 20 at this point. Yeah, that sounds about right. Because was it not last night, the night before, I accidentally stayed up until 4:30 playing this game. And so the time played is only like time actually in a match, like physically playing a game, which is less than half of the time that I've spent with the game. But I don't notice that, you know what I mean? And so you spend at least 30 seconds, 45 seconds picking your characters. Between matches, it can be up to a minute and a half to find a game. I mean, it could take 2 seconds. It could take a minute and a half to find a game. And then once you actually get in the match, there's a 30-second countdown. 30 seconds or a minute, depending on what type you're playing, before the game actually starts. But it's very interesting because there's a lot of kind of camaraderie, even without chat. There's a lot of camaraderie that builds up in that 30-second countdown when you're actually waiting for the game to start, like in world, you know? Like, because people go and they'll be like tagging the walls and they'll be doing their things, like, you know, the teabag move or jumping around or shooting their weapons or whatever. And you just kind of get a good sense for like the feel of the team in general before it starts. And then not having a mini map and not knowing where you are, like there's no map at all. So like, I don't even know where I am in the game world when I'm playing. And what's interesting about that is it makes the game feel much more claustrophobic. And so like, especially people who know what they're doing, that's why they tend to stick together, is because since there's no map telling me where everyone else is on the rest of the world, it makes much more sense for me to stay close to them so that I have an idea of what's going on. You know what I mean? And also it makes things feel much tighter and much closer, and makes the action feel much more intense, because my vision is never really distracted from looking right ahead. I'm not glancing at the minimap. I'm not trying to figure out like who's dead and who's not and what's going on. That's another thing too, is there are indicators, you know, like indicating when teammates die and stuff like that. They're not very prominent. And so there's very few distractions from shooting people in the face. You know what I mean? Like, that's what the game is all about. And it really does very, very little to distract you from that. And what I find interesting is, again, like how much information they cut out that other games have, and the effect that has on gameplay, because it puts such laser focus on doing what you're supposed to be doing, instead of micromanaging 7 different sections of the screen and all this information that's just bombarding you all the time. And I think that's a really good design move, because it makes the game feel like it's moving really quickly. Like games that take half an hour never feel like it, because all that I'm focusing on is what I'm doing right now to try to get things done. Shoot, die, get back to the thing, shoot, die, get back to the thing. That's it, just over and over and over and over again.
So yeah, you're enjoying this game then? That's what I'm getting. Very
oh my
good.
god, I'm fucking loving this game. So yeah, I'm gonna be
can you
streaming or whatever. What's that?
Can you set up a clan?
I don't know. So I think like it has like a group, and this is part of the reason that I want to get like friends, you know, online. And I think it even does cross platform play, because I've been playing with people and I've heard like keys, like, you know, click keys, keyboard, whatever, from people who have mics. I'm like, that sounds like somebody playing on a PC to me. I don't know about like cross play between PS4 and Xbox One. But I mean, it's tied to BattleNet, so and BattleNet's cross-platform. So I would imagine that it doesn't matter what platform you're playing on, at least between PC and whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I want to try to get a clan together because I'm pretty sure that I've played against teams that were made up, and they're so much better than everybody else. Like they destroy anybody that they play against.
Start an Egghead Anarchy clan and link it in the show notes.
Fuck yes, I'll do that.
All right,
hell yeah.
Let's head on to another topic then.
Yes.
Check for that clan
about
link.
This forever. Yeah. And look me up on BattleNet. My BattleNet ID is BSG Bryan, and my PS4 or PSN ID is also BSG Bryan. So definitely look me up and friend me up on both of those platforms. So we just watched the Star Trek Beyond trailer again, and what are your thoughts, Alex?
Yeah, it looks. I know nothing about the plot after watching that. Like, I really feel like I have no clue what this film is about. It doesn't look bad. I think the beginning of it is kind of a fuck you to the people who were critical of the last trailer.
Oh, what do you mean? Like how so?
No, hold on, let me move my mic. Okay. So.
There you go.
Yeah. I realize this is a bit far away. In the last trailer, it was like. Remember, it had what pop song did it have?
Beastie Boys, Sabotage.
No, this one has Sabotage.
Not Sabotage. What was it?
Yeah, the last one had the pop song, and they got criticism. They're like, "Oh, you're just trying to be Guardians of the Galaxy because you had this space trailer with a pop song over it, and you're like trying to get in on that." But this one, they went to Beastie Boys Sabotage, and they even mention it in the trailer where they're like, "Oh yeah, this song," and Kirk's like, "Oh yeah, good choice," because it was in the first movie, right? Like, this is a callback to the first movie, but it's also like, fuck you guys, we did this before Guardians did it. Remember how we did this in the first movie, like in 2009 or whatever it was? We had Sabotage in it. It's our thing.
And it perfectly fit. Like, Sabotage fit. Like, it made a lot of sense.
Yeah, because Kirk's never been never been a really great officer, even in TOS.
Right.
Sometimes he is, but a lot of the times he's like, I don't know, man, I'll just do whatever the fuck.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like, and that's I think it's a big thing that I love Star Trek, and I have a huge fucking problem with a lot of Star Trek fans because I don't think they understand what Star Trek is or like was originally meant to be. I think there's a huge halo effect around the original series. The original series was not nearly as good as I think most people remember. Season 2 was excellent. Season 1 was decent. Season 3 was really pretty bad. And that's all there is to it. There's only 3 seasons of the show.
Some of season 3 is good. It's pretty, I think it's more spotty than that. I don't think it's as consistent as per season is good, because there's some episodes where just aren't good in like any season.
Well, and Roddenberry wasn't even involved in season 3. He was only involved in the first 2 seasons.
Yeah, I know. And I think some of my favorite episodes might be in season 3. I'd have to go through a list and look. But yeah, I think some of season 3 is quite good. Certainly Gene Roddenberry was very good as a creative director, but maybe he screwed things up a little bit when he was more directly involved sometimes. Certainly his work on TNG, like TNG got way better after he was dead.
Yeah. I mean, that sucks to say, but that's very true. Yeah. Like the more that Ronald D. Moore took over, the better that show got.
Yeah. And I think we talked about this. I don't remember if we talked about this on the podcast or just when we were just talking, but about how they kind of changed who episodes were about. Like, it started out being like way Riker heavy, but no one cares about Riker and he's kind of boring. And they stopped having Riker episodes like partway through.
Oh yeah. I don't remember if we talked about that at all. Actually, that doesn't ring a bell. But I can totally see what you're saying.
Yeah, maybe not, because they had all those episodes with like where his dad comes on and he has this weird relationship with his dad, and and it's just kind of, I don't know. Riker's not. He's cool, but he still continues being in episodes a lot. Oh, I was talking about this with my dad. That's who it was.
Oh, okay.
I've just remembered. Sorry. Yeah.
You're fine.
But yeah, and then they just kind of kick him out. Or I mean, they don't kick him out because he keeps being in episodes, but he's more supporting cast. and he doesn't have episodes so much that just focus on him.
Yeah, well, I think he was kind of intended to be the everyman in the beginning of the show.
See, I think Geordie LaForge is really the everyman in the show, and Riker was supposed to be the fantasy character. He was where they were like hedging their bets on having an older captain, where they were like, people want Kirk still, so we'll put in this Riker character, and he's basically Kirk. He gets the ladies, and he's tall and handsome, and
Oh, I never thought about that.
Yeah. And then as the show went on and everybody liked Picard and they were down with the characters, they didn't feel like they had to lean on him and like lean on the original series as much.
Wow. I never thought about that. Yeah, I definitely agree. So I thought that Riker was the everyman, but I definitely agree with you. I think that like when you said, I definitely think Geordie is much more so.
Geordie has all the like bad dates that he goes on and they just don't work out.
Yep. Well, and he's like he's in a position of power and he's very good at what he does, but he's kind of, like middle management, what I mean? And like, who can't relate to that? You know what I mean? Like being stuck between a rock and a hard place a lot of times. What's that?
He's head of engineering. He's like the ship's mechanic. Like, and that's, he's like a guy who goes into work and does a very good job. And then he comes home and he doesn't have like crazy decision making like other people do, because he's not.
But he tends to fix things a lot of times.
Yeah.
Like just kind of out of nowhere. Like nobody else can do this but Geordie, and he's like, well, okay. And then he goes ahead and he does it, and and it's very similar to God, I'm blanking on his name. From DS9, the
Chief O'Brien.
Yes. Yeah.
Chief
very
O'Brien's
much same thing.
I love that actor. Calm me.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And especially in Layer Cake. That movie's really
I've
good.
never seen that. I want to see that so bad.
It's got Daniel Craig in it too. And
I definitely should see it then.
Colm Meaney in other stuff that he's been in, he's just like he plays a lot of gangsters. And there's even a bit in Deep Space Nine where he goes undercover as a gangster.
That's what I was just going to say. Yeah.
And that's very much like the other movies that he's in, but he's kind of a maniac in Layer Cake. It's pretty great.
Oh, wow.
But he's he's still very chill and like very... Like, he plays that engineering part well, even, like in other stuff, he's very like precise and careful, but also will kill you just without a second thought. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, that's also, we got way off track of that Star Trek Beyond trailer.
Well, I mean, we're still talking about Star Trek, just different show. But yeah, and so I think like my thing with this iteration of Star Trek, with J.J. Abrams' iteration of Star Trek, it's interesting to me the progression that these films have taken.
Yeah,
and I think you can see the development of J.J. Abrams' interest in the Star Trek universe.
Well, this
through
one
these movies
is basically not involved with J.J. Abrams anymore.
Well, I mean, he's still producer.
Is he still attached as a producer?
Oh yeah,
but and this is one thing that I want to talk about. It's directed by Justin Lin.
Yes,
who directed a bunch of the Fast and Furious movies.
Yeah, which have the most confusing titles I think of any movie series I've ever seen.
Yeah. He's directed like not
Fast and Furious is what he's credited with in the trailers. Like the movie titled Fast and Furious. Yeah. I forget which one that is in the series.
He's directed like Fast 2, Fast and Furious, More Faster and More Furiouser, whatever they're called.
Fastest and Most Furious Yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks really good though. So something else that sorry, go ahead. Sorry.
And there's a dirt bike scene. So apparently he sat down and he's like, I still like car chases though. Let's do that in here.
Well, and I have a feeling there's going to be like it seems to be like all of the starships are filmed as though they're race cars in the movie. Like just from the previews, from what I've seen, like that's what it looks like to me.
I could see that. Yeah, that'd be kind of cool.
Yeah, I think so. And see, that's the thing. So, what's interesting to me about Star Trek is what surrounds Star Trek, like kind of the world that the movies and the stories exist in, and the people around it, and the effect that it can have on people. And one of the things is I have developed a lot of respect for J.J. Abrams over the years. Like when I first remember hearing about him, I had no idea all the stuff this guy's worked on. Like he's worked on so many different things as a writer. Most of them have been really good. Not all of which I've seen. In fact, I haven't seen much of his stuff, but the stuff that I have seen has been really good. Like Felicity is one thing that I haven't seen, which is really good, and apparently he was a writer on. But what I like is watching his progression. When he started work on the original Star Trek, like the 2009 version, he was open about the fact that he was never into Star Trek as a kid, and that he had always preferred Star Wars, and he was working on both Star Trek and Star Wars. And the people had a lot of problems with that for a lot of reasons. And then Star Trek came out, and a lot of people were like, he's trying to make this Star Wars, like he clearly wants this movie to be Star Wars.
Yeah.
And I can kind of see where that was coming from.
It's more Star Wars. I really like Star Trek 2009. I think it's one of the best Star Trek films. And it's good about being like the original series.
Yes, exactly.
It has a lot of stuff that's very much like the original series. Down to the moment at the end where he's like, Scotty, do the thing. And Scotty's like, I can't, Captain. She's weird metaphor.
Yes, exactly.
Other metaphor.
Yep.
Can't you just, I suppose we could do the thing. And then they do it. Like, like it has a lot of moments like that are very much the original one. Into Darkness, I don't like that movie at all. But 2009 is very good.
Yeah, I do, but I can totally see why you wouldn't. Yeah, I mean, we've actually talked about this before, so yeah.
It's also worth noting that I think I cried like 3 times that I saw Star Trek 2009 in the theater at the beginning scene.
Oh my God, yes. Oh my God.
Where Kirk is trying to have this, or not Kirk, Kirk's father is trying to have this normal conversation with his wife as he's piloting the ship to his death, and they're naming the kid, and I'm just like,
feels, so many feels.
I'm kind of sitting with my hands like in front of my eyes, like, nobody look at me. Nobody see that I'm crying.
Where did this sawdust come from? What's up with this everywhere? I can't, my eyes. Yeah, it's, oh my God. Yeah, it was so good. It was so good. But did you hear the whole thing about it's not Anthrax. I should, well, here, let me pull this up really quick. So there's a Star Trek fan film that was made recently. And Paramount was suing them, and it's pretty good. Like I watched this movie, and I forget what it's something.
I was kind of following that. It's been very interesting because the initial trailer for that was amazing.
It is so high quality. I mean, and that I think might be part of the reason that Paramount had such a problem with it, because but by the way, the film is called Axanar.
Yeah,
and
that's right.
It's like a documentary. It's like a half-hour documentary.
Yeah, it's a documentary in the world of Star Trek about a thing that happened in Star. It's really cool. The trailer looks awesome, but Paramount got pissed off because they were like making money, like real. See, I kind of have mixed feelings about this first part, which is that they were paying themselves a salary, the creators of it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because what Paramount doesn't have a problem if you make a fan film, and Paramount doesn't have a problem if you have money to make the film. But like, this is generally their policy, is my understanding. Like, if you get some money from some people to make a fan film, it's fine, but you're not supposed to make money off of it. Like, you get money and you use it to make the film. But they got money and they used it to pay themselves a salary to make the film. But also paying yourself a salary because you're an employee making the film. Like, if you had to hire somebody to make the film, that would also be paying for the film. Like, paying yourself so that way you can eat food to make the film. Like, that doesn't seem like so much of a crime.
Yeah.
How much were they paying themselves?
It's definitely kind of a gray area.
Yeah. What's the cutoff point? Like, because if they're paying themselves enough to keep their air conditioning on and be able to eat, milk and bread, then you'd be like, fuck Paramount. But if they were like paying themselves enough to keep their luxurious condo and to eat caviar every night, then you'd be like, fuck those guys. Yeah. So it's kind of like, I'm not sure where to land on that. And the other thing is that they were using this money to set up a studio to make this film, but also with the intent of continuing to use that studio past this film.
Oh, okay. I didn't know all that. I could see Paramount getting upset about that.
And that's really why Paramount stepped in, because there's been lots of Star Trek fan stuff that has gone on with Paramount's like, good job, guys. You guys are cool. We're
that's what seemed odd to me about this.
Yeah.
But what you're saying, it's really starting to make a lot of sense. And it's almost making J.J. Abrams' response seem kind of weird. Did you hear his response to this?
No, what was his response?
So he and he said we in the interview that I saw. He said we. I don't know who we is. It's like him and maybe a couple other like producers or directors on the newest film, whatever.
Yeah.
Went to Paramount and they're like, stop suing these people. Like you can't do this. You can't sue the fans for doing this. And they pushed so hard that Paramount dropped the suit.
Oh, see, I feel like Paramount should have handled this differently.
How so?
Well, because it's so high quality. If I was Paramount, I'd be looking at that going, that could actually make money. Like, we shouldn't sue them so much as just walk over and be like, you're actually making money off this. We'll just sell you a license for it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, 10%. Work something out money wise. Yeah,
that
because
would make
this
more
movie.
Sense.
So not only is it ridiculously high quality and some of the most beautiful footage of these ships I have ever seen.
Oh yeah.
Even like the mainstream Star Trek movies. I mean, it's really fucking good. But every actor in the film is a notable sci-fi actor. Every single one. Like, I mean, they didn't get nobody. So they're all from either Battlestar Galactica, the sci-fi version of Battlestar Galactica. I'm sorry, not the. Well, there's one from the sci-fi Battlestar Galactica. There's somebody from the original Battlestar Galactica, the 1980 version, and then there are like at least 2 or 3 people from different Star Trek TV shows. And they're it's awesome. Like, it's so fucking cool. Like, the whole thing is just like one giant Star Trek orgasm. And so anyway, I thought that J.J. Abrams' response was really cool in that, like, he really seems to have bought into this whole universe, you know, and he said that. He's like, you know, working on these Star Trek movies, these films, he's like, I have really developed a passion and a love for this universe and for the community. He's like, people are ridiculously intense about these films, and the way that it affects their lives is just very like, I think he said inspiring and infectious. He's like, you can't be around these movies and not fall in love with them. And I was like, that's really cool. You know what I mean? And I think that you see that. I think that's coming through very clear in the trailers for the new movie. You know what I mean? Because really, like, the producers, they're the ones who kind of have the vision for the film, you know what I mean? And kind of direct where it's going. Mm-hmm. And I think, like, over these 3, well, the 2 that I've seen anyway, like, whether you like Into Darkness or not, I think that there's more of a love for the world in that film than in the original one. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like the original one paid credit to the original series. The second one, whether you like how it worked out or not, really tried to kind of work with and like play some tricks on, and also be like with the world and the characters, but also be like politically relevant. And I think that's kind of where it falls apart for a lot of people, because I think it's pretty heavy handed with that. But the new one, I think, is just like, one, it seems, at least the trailers anyway, seem much more character focused to me.
Yeah.
And I love that they're really kind of digging into, and it seems like they're actually kind of, you know, capping off this arc for Kirk's character. You know what I mean? Like, the whole beginning of the first few seconds of the trailer is him being introspective. You know, like, why am I doing this? What kind of person am I? Do I really deserve to be piloting this ship or captaining this ship and leading all these people? And that's heavy stuff. You know what I mean? But I think that leads him to become the Kirk that we all know from the original series, you know?
Yeah, I think the second one tried to do what you said. It tried to have a love for the universe, but it did such a bad job of it that it was just kind of, I hate to say disrespectful to the universe, because that I don't know, it makes it sound too serious, but it just kind of fucks up what it's doing. It doesn't handle Khan really well. It doesn't do anything like that. Like, it's just not. But in terms of this trailer, I think they're kind of maybe trying to call do-over on the last movie, because it seems like they're trying to, at least from the little bit that I've read, that this villain is supposed to have like a real actual complaint with the Federation. Like, he has a legitimate reason that he's attacking them and that kind of thing.
Wait, so you don't think Khan had a legitimate reason to be pissed off?
That they had his family?
Yeah, 72 members of his family
who were imprisoned for, you know, committing genocide.
But that's what they were built to do.
I know. I'm just saying, like, Khan.
I mean, literally, it's like, hey, you made me, and then when you didn't like, what's that?
What was Khan's reason for at the end deciding to take over the world again and blow up, and then crash his spaceship into San Francisco?
Because that's what he's supposed to do.
I mean, I'm just, he doesn't have a real good reason to do that part of it. I think
Khan didn't have a real good reason to do that in the originally either.
Why?
Wrath of Khan, it was literally exactly that. I was made to be better than all of you. I'm better than all of you, so I'm going to kill you off. And specifically, I don't like Kirk because Kirk beat me that one time. So fuck you guys. I'm going to kill you all. That's it.
No, I mean, yeah, but I think that I don't know. I feel like that movie starts well. And I feel like Khan's going to go places that are interesting, but then he ends up at the end just like, I'm going to kill everybody. Crash his spaceship into San Francisco. And I'm like, all right, you kind of lost me there.
Okay.
And he kind of, in the original one, he gets to that point, but we see more stuff happening. And he's, at the end, he's like, I'm going to take you with me. I'm going to commit suicide and blow us up with the Genesis device. But that's like, after he's like had this really long, like slow kind of descent into that place where he is. Whereas this Khan shows up and he feels really cool and in control at every moment. And then he just is crazy at the end and then he crashes into I don't know. It's like the original one, but not as well written is I guess kind of what I'm saying.
I can see that. Also, I have an incredibly high appreciation for the way that they did the Kirk Spock scene in the second one. Yeah. Like that's a huge part of the reason that I love the film so much. And also too, I want to say like the original movie, the original Wrath of Khan had Ricardo Montalban.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean that's like that cannot be overstated. Yeah.
He's good.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm crazy excited for this movie, and I also love the visuals for the new trilogy. I think they do a really good job with like the retro kind of feel, like the super retro, fancy, shiny feel to everything.
You like the start the what the fuck? God damn it! The Enterprise looks like the inside of an Apple store. Like in space, the space Apple store.
See, I would say that it doesn't because it's not nearly sparse enough. You know what I mean? It's just it's like there's lots of clear stuff and lots of shiny stuff, and it's kind of colorful but more white, which is probably why you're saying what you're saying, which I can see.
It's white and smooth. It looks like first generation iPod kind of thing.
Yeah,
and I like it. I'm not dissing it. I do. I think it looks good. I think it looks real good for the Federation, because that's always how the Federation is always like, this is really clean, everything is really nice in this future, and that gives that look very easily. And it's, I don't know, it'd be good.
And they're still using the uniforms. I mean, I have like that by itself I have a lot of respect for the same reason that, like, in the same way that the Marvel movies do that, because like, I mean, those are campy uniforms, you know what I mean? But they find a way to make them cool, and they find a way to make it work. And the colors are the same. Like, I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm especially excited because this one's written by Simon Pegg.
Yeah.
That's kind of cool. And he's a big Star Trek fan. So, I want to know more about the plot of this one. I hope it's more, a little bit more thinky, a little bit more political than maybe the
last one was pretty political.
Sort
of. That was the whole plot of the movie was, government, mixing government with military and what that looks like.
Yeah. I don't think it was handled terribly well. You know what? Everything that I feel about the last one is just like, yeah, they did it. They did the thing that I want. They just didn't do it as well as I thought they should have.
Yeah,
I guess.
Totally.
Yeah. I don't know. I hope the villain is more. I hope for more villain debates, but where it's more of a debate and less Khan just sitting in a cell being like, "I'm mysterious mystery."
Yeah.
Do you have the torpedoes? And Kirk's like, "You seem really insistent about that. Maybe I should go look at those torpedoes." If Khan was really that smart, maybe he would have played that a little bit cooler, not been so crazy about that. I don't know, whatever.
Yeah. No, that's valid. And like I don't want to give the impression that I think like Khan was this super perfect villain, because I actually don't. Like I think you're right that the writing for Khan wasn't very good. And I don't particularly actually like the way he was played. I thought he was like way too over dramatic about everything. But I just like, I don't think it was as bad as it seems like you tend to think it is. And I think that was a part of the movie, and everything else in the movie was so well done. The Klingons, like introducing the Klingons, I thought was really cool. And I thought they looked really cool. It doesn't seem like they're in this new one, but I want to see where that goes.
Who do you think the aliens are in this one? Do you think there's aliens?
Romulans?
You think they're Romulans?
That's my guess.
See, they look a lot like the Remans, I thought.
Remans?
Yeah, the Remans, who are you remember Star Trek Nemesis, right?
Yes.
Yeah, they're the villains in that.
Oh, you're right. I try to block that movie out of my memory.
I was like, they kind of look like the Remans. I wonder if they're supposed to be Remans or if they're just some new species that we haven't seen before. Like,
they look a little bit like Klingons to me, like the new Klingons.
Yeah, maybe. Also that. It seems kind of unclear who they are, what their thing is going on. They also have those little pod ships, which are like what they had in Star Trek Enterprise, the aliens with the weird biological enhancements who had the little tiny pod ships that like stuck together to make a bigger pod ship.
Oh crap. I'm totally blanking on the name, but I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you think those ships kind of look like that?
I thought those were escape. Oh, no, I know what you're talking about. Not really. No, because the ones in Enterprise were, I can't think of the name, but like geometric, and they weren't like attack ships. Right? Or am I thinking of the wrong thing?
I think sometimes they attack people with them.
Because what I'm thinking of was that base. Like the base was made up of those things, but that's all oh no, you're right. They would fly off and they would go, yeah. So I can see why you're thinking that. I guess my thought was that those things were too small to be piloted, and they were like kamikazes basically. So I thought they were more like drones. Like those things were like just autonomous drones that were like some sort of weapon.
Like Andromeda.
Andromeda.
Yeah. Gene Roddenberry's Andromeda. The other thing where they have that ship, the Andromeda, and it has a bunch of like drone fighters that it launches.
I don't think I ever watched that show.
I haven't watched that in probably like 12 years. But
when
it was on TV,
what was
I liked it.
the last show that he made? Like it was super boring and terrible and awful, and it was so sad that it was his last show on TV. It was like not Empire Earth, but something Earth. Like Last Earth or something, and it was exclusively politics. That's all it was. There was no action, there was no nothing. It was just politics, and it was so boring. I remember it was so bad. But that's what I was thinking of when you were mentioning Andromeda. I don't think it was Andromeda. I think it was something
Earth
else.
Final Conflict.
That's what it is. Yes, the guy that show's so bad. I think it was on for one season, maybe two, and then it was canceled.
It came out after he died.
What?
Yeah.
Because they called it Gene Roddenberry's Earth Final Conflict, and it was supposed to be like his last big thing. Maybe he wrote it before it came out. Like maybe like wrote it and filmed it or something. I'll have to look that up. Maybe like post something about it later. But yeah, I remember being really sad that was like his last thing because it was just so bad.
It says it's a Canadian science fiction based on ideas developed by Gene Roddenberry, produced under the guidance of his widow.
Oh, so maybe they were just being super skeezy and trying to use his name then.
It ran for 5 seasons.
5 seasons? Oh my God. Oh, that was so bad.
Apparently it was good enough to get 110 episodes.
There's so many better things that deserve 110 episodes. Well, and apparently I was wrong too. I thought it was only on for a couple of seasons, but if it was Canadian, maybe it just wasn't here. Like maybe it was some weird cable channel that I never knew or whatever. But anyway, don't bother watching that. It's really terrible. But yeah, and that's another thing too. Like I kind of, I don't mean any disrespect, but I think Gene Roddenberry gets not unnecessary. Why can't I? He doesn't deserve as much credit for Star Trek as he actually gets.
I think it's just very much like Star Wars. It's like, very like you would never ever get it without Gene Roddenberry or George Lucas. They're hugely important in creating the idea for it and kind of putting it together. Like the whole using monomyth to create this modern fairy tale, that's George Lucas. Like he gets full credit for that. But in like actual writing and editing decisions,
right?
Not George Lucas. Like
yeah,
those
well, and even
choices.
things like X-wings and like there are a lot of details of the universe that didn't come from him, and it's very much the same thing with Gene Roddenberry.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like the idea of the Enterprise was not his. Like that didn't come from him. That came from somebody else. But he insisted on having his name put on everything.
Yeah.
And that just really bothers me.
The,
you know what I mean?
lyrics to the original Star Trek theme song.
Yeah. That was his, but that was a fuck you. I want to make money, so I don't give a shit about
where
these
you've
lyrics.
never heard those lyrics, but it does have lyrics because he had an option to write lyrics. And if he wrote lyrics, then he was a writer for that song, and that meant that every time that song was used, he got royalties from it.
Yep.
So he wrote lyrics. They never used them. He never intended for them to be used. He just wanted royalties off that song.
Yeah. And to be honest, I mean, I can't really blame him. I can't really blame him for that. I mean, he'd just be leaving money on the table if he didn't do that. You know, he didn't hurt anybody. He didn't hurt anything doing that. So I don't have a huge problem with that. I remember watching Trekkies, the documentary that was made by his son.
Is that I don't remember what that one's called, but that one's very good with his son. Yeah.
Yeah. There's one guy in there, like one of the producers for the original series, who actually has almost nothing but negative things to say about Gene Roddenberry. He's like, you know, he said kind of like what you're saying, like the idea came from him, and he was very brilliant in a lot of ways. Like he was a good storyteller, and he was actually a good writer. But this guy's like, it's just criminal how many people do not get credit for Star Trek. Like it came from his head, but he's like, you know, like all the modelers, all the designers, the people responsible for the look of the show, all that kind of stuff. None of those people get any credit, and they really deserve it because all that stuff is just as big a part of the Star Trek mythos and world as the stuff that Roddenberry contributed.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't want to go too much on this and like bash the guy or anything like that, because he gave us just this incredible universe. But there's other people did too, you know, and they deserve
it's
credit.
Hard. You can't, like, nobody is doing brilliant work on something as complex as a TV show or film all on their own.
Oh, absolutely.
No one has the number of talents to do that all alone.
Or time.
Exactly. Like, it's just not the case. So that's how that works. Something smaller, like you can be a really good painter. And just paint something yourself. Just sit down and paint something. But that's because it requires painting. But like a film, like if you look at lots of films, like Star Trek is full of paintings. Somebody had to sit down and do matte paintings for the effects in all those films. And then on top of that, somebody had to do the camera work. Like it incorporates so many different skill sets that, like I said, like you can't really give credit to any one person on that stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, great. Looking forward to this new Star Trek Beyond.
Oh yeah.
Hopefully it's better than the last one. Hopefully it's more like the first one. It seems pretty actiony from the trailers, but I wonder if that's just because they wouldn't make a trailer where people sit around and talk a lot. Like,
yeah. Well, I mean, there is some of that. Like, I think it's a pretty good mixture. You know what I mean? Like the opening of the trailer is very somber and lots of talking.
Oh, and then that opening where he's like speculating, he's like, our ship's down, our thing, yada, yada. I kind of felt like that is probably not in the film. That sounded like that was a specific voice clip for the trailer.
Oh yeah. So what I was thinking of was where he's talking about, like, you know, my father signed up for Starfleet because he believed in it. I signed up because of a bet, you know?
Yeah.
Like that. I mean, that's a lot of characterization in one line.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then like his conversation, like he's talking with Bones, Spock is talking with Bones. Scotty
Bones
has like a couple like really good lines talking with whoever that alien is, you know?
Bones has that really funny line.
What,
where he's like, at least I won't die alone.
And then Spock disappears.
And he's like, well, shit. I like Carl Urban a lot. He's pretty great.
Oh, yeah.
I wish he was in these movies more. But because they took out McCoy's not as much in the power trio as he was in the original series. It's like Spock, Uhura, and Kirk. Whereas before it was, which is a shame because Carl Urban's really good.
Well, I mean, the good/bad thing is that everyone they have is really good.
I do
every major character is an awesome actor, you know?
Mm-hmm. Zoe Saldana, I really like. I've heard a lot of people criticizing her for being wooden.
She's supposed to be.
Well, here's the thing.
That's half her character. She's fucking dating Spock. Like, what? Anyway,
I think she's not really wooden, but like the movies that she's in are Guardians of the Galaxy and Star Trek that people are thinking about when they're saying this, and that's where she's playing alongside of fucking Chris Pratt and a green alien man who doesn't get jokes and a raccoon and a tree. Of like, yeah, she looks wooden because she's the only serious kind of person in that grouping. Like everybody else is a whack job.
Well, and
I think she's in films where everybody else is overacting as hard as possible. So her like regular acting just seems downplayed by comparison.
Well, and it's her character. Like in Guardians of the Galaxy, like she has a lot of inner conflict and turmoil, but who's she going to talk to about that shit?
Yeah.
Like nobody can relate to where she's coming from. She isn't even sure what anybody else's motivations are. And she's going up against like one of the most powerful, if not the most powerful being in the universe. And he wants to kill her. You know, like who, like why would she be like, what does she have to be outwardly vocal about? Like her struggle is almost completely internal. And it's kind of the same thing in Star Trek. You know what I mean? Like what would she say? What would she do? You know what I mean?
She plays the straight man too in almost all the jokes. Like she's written as the straight man. She's the one like, you guys are idiots. Like what? Like I just think that's how she's written in those films and the character that she's playing and comparative to the people she's playing opposite. Point is, I like her. Oh, Stop criticizing her, internet. Why are you doing that? Well, yeah,
and what about Avatar? She wasn't wooden in Avatar.
Which Avatar? Oh, James Cameron's Avatar?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't realize that she was in that, but yeah, she's the main alien lady, right?
Yep. Oh, yeah. She was super, she was super, like, vocal and emotional in that movie.
I didn't. I've not seen that whole movie, and I did not like that movie.
What?
Yeah. So I'll tell you the story about the time that I watched it. It was like myself and like 3 or 4 other guys, and we were all like pretty fucking drunk, and we started watching that movie, and we were like, I don't know, we were like 20 minutes into it, and we're like, let's just watch something else, isn't it? So my point is, we were not a fucking tough audience at this point. We were still like, I don't know, we could find something else to watch, I think.
Oh, God, I love that movie, dude. I love that movie. That is a really good movie.
We did not see it in 3D. Like, I didn't see it in the theater.
I mean, the 3D is cool, and I think I have a lot of respect for the fact that without that movie, 3D would have gone away, period.
Yeah.
Like, it just would have. And to this day, I think it's some of the best use of 3D that I've ever seen. But it's not necessary. Like, without 3D, I think it's still a good movie.
I just think it's kind of boring a little bit.
It definitely starts slow. It really does. But I would definitely, at some point, and it is long. I mean, it's a James Cameron movie. It's very long. But That's
true. I also find Titanic to be the same thing, where I'm like, this movie's just kind of boring. It's all right. It's not like a bad film. I can't get into it.
I wonder, maybe because like he definitely has his own method of storytelling, and it's kind of more detached. You know what I mean? Like the way that I would describe it is like some movies, like Star Trek. It seems like you very much feel like you're right there with them, like in the middle of whatever's going on. Whereas James Cameron films, I tend to feel like I'm kind of looking at a diorama behind glass. And maybe that difference, like for someone like you, maybe that difference is just very boring. You're like, I don't want to, okay, this diorama's behind, whatever, I don't care. Like you want to feel like you're in the middle of whatever's happening. Almost like you could, like you're on the bridge of the Enterprise and no one can see you, but you're seeing what's happening physically around you. Whereas if it looks like, or if it feels like it's more detached, maybe that's just not interesting to you.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm trying to think of other James Cameron movies, whether there are any that I really like.
Terminator 2.
Aliens is good. Terminator, I can kind of take or leave as a franchise.
Interesting, because it's shot and filmed very, very similarly to Avatar.
Yeah, maybe I'm just not a huge James Cameron fan.
Yeah,
which is fine. Like I said, I don't think those movies are bad, and they're okay. I would sit down and watch them. Mm-hmm. Like if somebody was like, "Hey, we're watching this movie. You want to watch it?" I'd be like, "Yeah, sure." But I wouldn't be like, "Yeah." I'd just be like, "Yeah, okay, that's fine. If that's what you guys want to do. I'm cool."
3 hours of my life.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. looking forward to this movie. When the fuck does it come out?
That is an excellent question. I have absolutely no idea. I feel like we should look that up.
And we should, before it comes out, we should do a retrospective of some of the other Star Wars movies.
Star Trek.
Star Trek, yeah. Fuck, I always confuse those. It annoys people a lot.
Which I think people just need to fucking get over because, come on, seriously, yeah.
July 22nd. So yeah, look forward to another retrospective episode, even though every time we talk about Star Trek, no matter what reason we talk about it, it becomes a retrospective because we talk about the old shit.
Yeah.
Maybe a more contained. We'll watch a certain number of movies and talk specifically about those movies.
This is you and I. That's not going to happen.
All right. Well, this is the end of this segment. Bye. Get out. Bye.
Okay.
Hey, thanks for listening this time. This has been Egghead Anarchy. You can find me, Alex, at Senior Don Gatto on Twitter. And
and Brian is at BSG Brian, also on Twitter.
We're also on Facebook, Egghead Anarchy. And now, you can find us at eggheadanarchy.com.
Absolutely. All of our episodes are there, and they're listenable. We actually have a streaming audio player for the episodes.
And we can all thank Brian for that, putting that website together. Very good job, Brian.
Thank you.
High five. High fives all around. Also, we've gone ahead and created that Overwatch clan that we talked about 5 seconds ago. So, again, good job, Brian.
Thank you. Yeah, so you can find we'll put a link to this in the show notes, but you can find our clan. It is called Overwatch Anarchy. It is at overwatchclans.net. So it should show up just on the first page when you go there. But again, we'll have a link in the show notes if you want to go sign up. And I would definitely go there, sign up, join the clan so that we can get in and play some Overwatch together. And one more thing, we do have an Egghead Anarchy Twitter account. It's just Egghead Anarchy on Twitter. Post there pretty regularly. So yes. Is there anything else, Alex, or is that good? We're gonna call it a day.
Oh no, you forgot the most important part.
Uh-oh. Shit. What did I do? I failed.
You gotta make sure the audience has a good time. Until next time. Until next time, audience.
Damn it. I'm an asshole. Yes. Sorry. Take it away. You are a better person than me.
Until next time, audience. Have a great week.
Yes,
Bye.
please do. Bye.